Hey guys, this is Jekar here with another battle report. We got a 2500 point Swedish comp Tomb King versus 2500 Swedish comp Orcs. We rolled up and got Watchtower, which was something the Tomb Kings did not want at all. And when we rolled off, the Orcs got a chance to put a unit in the Watchtower. So let's see how it goes. Alright, so Tomb King deployment from left to right. We've got a unit of 12 skeleton archers straddling the fence. We got a Cimmerian War Sphinx with Fiery Roar, 20 Tomb Guard with no characters. Up front is 25 or 30 skeleton warriors. It's got 2 level 2s on death. One has like Purple Sun, one has Doom and Darkness. There's some other snipey spells in there. One of them has the Channeling Rod, and the other one has the Dispel Scroll. Also in that unit is a Necrotect with an Enchanted Shield and probably a 5-point Angry Sword, I don't know. And the Tomb King is also in there, and he has the Golden Sigil Sword for Initiative 10, and he also has the Glittering Scales. Behind them is a unit of 3 Carrion. Behind that is a unit of 26, I think, Tomb King Archers, and they have the Necrotect on the lore of Nehekara, or Necrahara, or however that's pronounced. Standing next to them, of course, is the Hyro Titan. He is giving everybody his plus D3 to cast Bubble. On the hill there is 4 chariots. I believe they have the Banner of Swiftness, and there's a musician, but there's not a champion. And behind them is the Casket of Souls. And over here are the Entombed Sepulchral Stalkers. They're hanging out on the other table that nobody was on right now. As for me and my Orcs and Goblins, this is the picture of my deployment. From left to right here in the picture as usual, we have 5 Wolf Riders who have vanguarded up. They have shields. We have 9 Trolls. Behind them is a Doom Diver. To the right of them is 2 single trolls. Behind the single trolls is the Arachnarok Spider Boron. Then up front we have 20 Night Goblins with the Night Goblin Battle Standard Bearer. Behind them we have 2 Night Goblin Shaman. One of them has the Staff of Solidarity that lets me roll an extra d6, and the other has the Dispel Scroll. Then there's also my General. He's a Wyvern War Boss, regular Orc on what's he have? Talisman of Preservation, Charm Shield, Sword of Might. So I kept him fairly cheap, less than 350 points. Next to the Night Goblins is a unit of 25 Squigs and 10 Handlers. Next to them is a unit of 50 Goblins, plus Nets, full command, 2 Night Goblin Big Bosses with great weapons. Next to them are 2 single Goblin Wolf Chariots. Behind the Wolf Chariots, we have a Goblin Rock Lava. Out of the picture is 5 more Wolf Riders with spears, and in the building is my unit of 20 Savage Orc Biggins with additional hand weapons and a standard. And I actually built them this way because I wanted to be able to take the tower if I rolled off. And this is actually the second Watchtower game I've played since I built the list with 20 Savage Orc Biggins, and both times I've seized the tower. So apparently Biggins, Savage Orc Biggins, really enjoy getting in the tower first turn, which is something I'm not going to complain about. So this picture here is after Tomb King's turn 1. You can see that everybody kind of moved up slowly, as Tomb Kings are wont to do. They kind of reposition themselves, put themselves in good placement. I don't remember what his magic was like this turn. I think I stopped everything going on the Savage Orc Biggins, because as you can see, there are no more Tomb Guard. So what happened was he charged in with the Tomb Guard, and I was very happy to let that happen. I was 100% sure I could win that combat. I don't think that he rolled very well for magic, or if he did, I used my scroll and Scepter of Stability to really shut him down this first turn, because I was only scared of the Tomb Guard going into the building. You know, the King's unit, I am not super scared about because I can kill skeletons to make up for the fact that the King is there. Plus, his King isn't super killy outside of its base stats. And then none of the other things, you know, the monsters can fight, but they can't get in. and I still have squigs that I can, push out with. I have trolls that can get in there and do nasty things. I have my own monsters. So yeah, I was really only concerned about the Tomb Guard. So I stopped everything, and then when it gets around shooting, I don't think does much. Maybe it plucks a wound off of a troll or something. But when it comes to combat, I killed 15 Tomb Guard with my attacks, and he killed 0. He did 2 wounds, and I rolled double sixes on my ward saves to save them. So of course he lost combat by 6 or 15 because of the tower. And he actually wanted to argue that there was no crumble because of because of the tower, but I mean we settled it pretty easily. I said, you crumble from a lost combat. Did you lose combat? Yes. By how much? 15. So anyway, the Tomb Kings disappeared, and I'm feeling really, really good getting ready to go into my first turn. So with Orcs and Goblins turn 1, you can see that we had some crazy shenanigans happening. Over on the right, I charged my Wolf Riders into his chariots. And now that's not actually something that I wanted to do. Animosity made me do it. I rolled the 6 result. I rolled a 1 and then the 6, so I had the wheel show them. And my Wolf Riders decided, hey, guess what? It's time to party. So they did. All my trolls passed stupidity and everything. I moved my general up to threaten the Hyro Titan, threaten the King's unit. Moved the Arachnarok up to be able to threaten the King's unit as well. You can see that I moved the single trolls so that the Arachnarok can fit through that gap. And I'm just really anticipating slamming into the King's unit, having my general challenge, and then having my Arachnarok kill the mages. And so I'm really excited about that. The squigs and the chariots and the night goblins are looking at rolling that flank. Um, I may have actually charged this turn, but I don't think that I did. I don't think his Sphinx was far enough up. So anyway, everything's looking really good. Like I said, I destroyed his unit in my turn, and the only thing I'm scared about is the Wolf Riders. So we'll see how that goes. So in this Wolf Rider combat, I got Gorkle fix it off on the chariots, and of course I charged so he didn't get impact hits. And with a slew of bad rolling, and he totally spooned his attacks, as a certain YouTuber across the pond would say. And I rolled really well. I think I actually killed a chariot with my wolf and goblin attacks. So he crumbled extra, and you can see he's down to a standard and his musician, all because of Gorkle Fix It. And he did 1 wound to me. It was really, really sad. I cheered a lot because these Wolf Riders were doing amazing, and it made me love Little Wog a little bit. So it looks like I don't have a picture from Tomb King's turn 2, so I apologize about that. But what we'll do is I'll tell you what happened, and then we'll go into this picture, which is my turn 2. In his turn 2, he popped the stalkers up, and he was actually about half an inch from going off the board. They rolled like the straight back and 10 inches um, on their artillery dice, and if I had moved my units just a little bit further back, if I hadn't pushed up as far last turn, he actually would have been off the board. And so that's something I didn't know. I didn't know that rule about them, but whatever, you live and learn. And he shot them at the Wyvern, and he got 24 hits. And I thought to myself, well, 24, he should get 4 sixes overall, statistically. And he got 9. So he killed the Wyvern, and 5 of them went to the Wyvern. Exactly. So the Wyvern dropped or turned to a pillar of stone under the War Boss. The War Boss took a single wound and jumped off the now pillar of stone Wyvern. In Magic, he did some more nastiness. He was frustrated about Foot of Gork wasn't a um, remains in play spell, and he also got Doom and Darkness off on my general, and this is one of the turns where my big block of 9 trolls fails. It's leadership 6 with the reroll test. So in my turn, the trolls stumble forward. Luckily, they don't block the Arachnarok, who charges. My general hops into the tower to be protected. You can see a chariot in this picture has charged the War Sphinx. It's on its side because in combat it dies. I actually charged both chariots in, thinking that that would give me some kind of something. And of course, only one of them made it on. I think I needed an 8 with Swift Stride, and I thought, oh, that's pretty easy. I can do that. and I couldn't. And I'm thinking, looking back, that I should really probably have just played it safe, moved everything up, and threatened the War Sphinx, because the War Sphinx doesn't get any better for charging. So I probably should have just done that. I moved my squigs around to block the stalkers from getting a charge on my bunker. Moved my bunker up to keep them, out of the way. And on the right hand side of the board, which I don't think I have a picture of, not a good picture at least. I actually wiped those chariots this turn with the I wiped the chariots in his turn with my wolf riders, and so so in my turn I'm free to cast Gork will fix it on his king's unit, which again really frustrates him. Boron is in contact. Well, I think I have a picture for that. Hold on one second. Yeah, here it is. The Arachnarok, as you can see, got into base. He was in base with the wizard that has Purple Sun and had the Wand of Channeling, or the Channeling Rod, or whatever. And I directed half my Arachnarok's attacks, like 3 plus the Venom Surge at that guy. And I did like the Venom Surge auto wounded and stuff, so I did way more wounds than I needed to. With the rest of he didn't move his king over. He was worried that I was just gonna split attacks between the king and the wizard, or throw all of them at the king and then kill the wizard with the goblin attacks on top, who are strength 4 this turn, which is really probably what I would have done. Pretty good indication. So we left the king out, so I killed that guy, and I killed some other skeletons, did some stomps, and they couldn't do anything to me with rerolling 6s. So after combat, um, they crumbled a lot, and things are looking really good. Like I said, things are still looking up for me, even though I was really fussed about the Wyvern dying to a single round of non-buffed stalker shooting. So the TK turn 4, no, 3, TK turn 3, I'm sorry, was very eventful. You can see in the shooting phase here that he killed that lone troll who's been stumbling around like a crazy person. That wasn't even magic. He just shot him. He just decided that that guy needed to die. So I was kind of frustrated about that, but regen can't save everything. Magic wasn't uneventful, but I don't remember. Oh, he put a bunch of buffs on his King's unit to get them back into fighting form. I believe he put the Enchanted Blades and Righteous Smiting on them. You can see that my general still has Doom and Darkness on because I keep forgetting to dispel a Remains in Play spell. That card is on the tower there, which makes my trolls not reliable at all, uh, especially with the BSB uh, hanging out, not in range, which you'll see in a second. I believe this is after combat, and no, this one is before combat. But in this combat, I also kill the wizard that has Doom and Darkness, so that does go away, which is nice. Um, he does move his king up and starts doing wounds to my spider, which is bad for me and good for him. And I'm really hoping I can get these trolls in, but I am unable to do so as of yet. And over here, this is why my trolls are not in BSB range. The carrion actually charged them. I didn't think they could see me, and they could complete the charge with only a single wheel. I just didn't even think about it. So I fled with them. The carrion redirected into the butt of my squigs, and they killed. I want to say they killed 6 handlers out of the 10, which meant I wasn't going to blow up. But because the handlers and the squigs are the same initiative, I couldn't actually get any squig attacks back at them. I was thinking, oh well, the um, or the carrion I think are also initiative 3, so I didn't have any ability to attack them with squigs. So I did like 1 wound to them, and so my squigs exploded. I did a bunch of wounds to the carrion. I did a bunch of wounds to the sepulchral stalkers, and now I'm really hoping that naked night goblin unit with the BSB can rally on a 7 next turn, and I'm just trying to be really hopeful, and I'm not sure how well that's going to work. I talked about it with my opponent afterwards, and we talked about how, there was really nothing else I could have done if he could have if he would have charged me with the carrying. Oh, both of my wizards are in that unit, I guess I should say as well. I popped them in there to keep them safe from the stalkers. So what I told my opponent was, he said, well, you probably shouldn't have fled. And I said, well, if I hadn't have fled, one carrion each would have directed all of its attacks and its stomp at the characters, and because they're all unprotected, I just would have lost all three characters. And yeah, sure, maybe I would have stuck around with the unit, but 60 points from the unit isn't why that unit is important. The unit's important because it has both of my wizards and my BSB in it. And he agreed, and so, I mean, there was really, I need a musician in here to get my rallying up, and B, I should have just positioned them better. And that's all there really is to that. In Orc and Goblin turn 3, I attempt to long bomb charge the side of the Sphinx. I think I needed like an 8 or a 9 with the Night Goblins, and I needed that means I would need like a 6 or 7 with the Chariot, and I failed. They both failed and kind of derped forward. I'm getting really frustrated by my inability to hit the stupid Sphinx with anything. You can see my Wolf Riders over here have continuously been failed charging as well, the archers, and that's, I'm really okay with that. I'm not sure that they would have done me any good anywhere else, because the carrion can fly charge, and so I couldn't actually have stopped that butt charge into my squigs. So, well, yeah, I guess I could have used them to try and block my the charge lane off to my BSB's unit, but oh well, that's what I get for being crazy and just trying to charge forward. Oops. I think I should go ahead and mention that my BSB did run off the board. My trolls in the bottom of the picture, my 9 trolls, did have failed their stupidity test on a leadership 9, and so they stumble forward, unable to support anybody. The Tomb King's unit does finish off my spider, and my wolves, who have been doing all sorts of ridiculousness, move up to the position where you see them. They're out of, I think they're actually out of the Hierotitan's line of sight, and they're staring at the Hierophant. And I start talking about how this is the most important mission ever given to any Wolf Riders, and they're fulfilling their destiny because they killed those chariots so handily, and this is what they were born to do. And I'm really talking them up, and my opponent's actually getting kind of worried that a couple strength 4 and a couple strength 3 attacks are going to kill his Hierophant, and I just think that would be very, very nice for me. This is just a picture to show you that yes, my bunker ran off the board, and he's checking the carrion to see if it can see either of my war machines, which thankfully it cannot. So at least it doesn't get to victory rush into other things. Over here, they've shot off my chariot and um, my wolf riders. Maybe I actually charged the chariot in last turn and it died after. But anyway, regardless, it's now down to just the Night Goblins to try and stop that War Sphinx, which I'm actually really pleased with. Everybody needs 6s anyway to wound it in my army, so there's no difference. So I might as well just throw my most numerous unit at it and cackle. Here you can see what's happening. He's moving his skeletons with his Tomb King forward, and he's buffed them up a lot to regrow them, and he's going to, I believe, charge past my troll. I was trying to put the troll there because he did make his leadership 9 test last turn. I'm trying to put the troll there to block off the Tomb King and his retinue, but or however you say that word, his buddies. But I just can't. I don't think that I got it very well. You can see that he spread out his skeleton archers in the back to shoot at my wolf riders, but that my wolf riders, still on the most important mission of their life, survived the volley fire. Here, the Stalker reformed, and actually, we weren't sure about this because he reformed it. We didn't know whether he could pivot and shoot because it's now a single model, or whether since it didn't start a single model, if you had to still wheel/reform like usual. So he just reformed it and didn't shoot, which maybe we're wrong. If you know, give us a comment, let us know. And here you can just see the carrion getting ready to charge on his next turn, and my wolf rider's running crazily away. So maybe the archers did shoot off my chariot, but for whatever reason, this is what that side of the board looks like. And just to reiterate, the most important mission ever given to Goblin Wolf Riders. So my turn 4. The trolls again fail leadership 9 test to charge the flank of the king's unit, which I was, and honestly, I was really counting on that. To fail the leadership 9 test 2 turns in a row really, really frustrated me. It frustrated me so much, in fact, that you may notice that the Wolf Riders, who had the most important mission ever given to Wolf Riders, I forgot to charge them. They don't have to test for animosity. I was so pissed about the trolls failing their second consecutive test on a 9 that I completely forgot about them, and my opponent laughed at me later. We got around to combat, and I realized I needed to be fighting that combat, and we just laughed and laughed about the ineptitude of Wolf Riders. You can see that I did make one charge. You see the front of the Night Goblins over there. They charged into the War Sphinx, and he tried to Thunder Crush them and failed, which meant that he didn't have very many attacks, and I killed him before he got to Thunder Stomp, which was awesome. So over here, I fired my war machines in defense of each other. I fired the Doom Diver at the Carrion, killed the Carrion. Fired the Rock Lobber at the Stalker, and the Rock Lobber killed itself. So I was really frustrated because not only did the Doom Diver save something that then killed itself, it could have instead saved itself and left the Carrion high and dry for later. Pretty mad about the Rock Lobber. Actually, this entire weekend my artillery didn't do very much. So I mean, I like it and it's good, but it's really starting to frustrate me, especially in this game where I've hit. I think the carrion was probably the first thing I've hit. So apparently I spaced out on pictures in his turn 5. Um, in his turn 5, he charged into the watchtower and he killed. He desiccated, big desiccated, and again I have no wizards, and he pushed it through, and I couldn't get the double six to stop it. So he rolled the D3 and got a 3. So I have tough strength 2 because of Choppa's, toughness 1 Biggins, and he just slaughtered me with the regular skeletons. He did 10 or 11 wounds, and because of steadfast, thankfully I made that leadership 9 test, which I suppose if I was going to make any leadership 9 test, that was going to be the one I wanted to make. And then of course his stalker killed my Doom Diver, but whatever. So then in my turn, I make leadership 9 test with the troll, and him and the remaining Wolf Rider charge into the Hierophant, and now things are starting to look pretty good. This is what should have happened last turn, but again, remember, I forgot their mission. Note the trolls here, stupid for the 3rd time. This time I believe they're actually out of the general's leadership, but regardless, this is in fact the 4th turn of the game, of the 5-turn game, where this big troll block is stupid. First one was on a 6 because of Doom and Darkness. 2 were on a 9. So I'm really getting pissed off at these trolls right now. And again, that comes back down to my general should be on Wyvern with an 18-inch leadership bubble, but thanks to some ridiculous stalker rolling, he is hanging out in a tower. Yeah, so like I said, his turn 5, he came in and killed a monkey ton of my Savage Orc Biggins. So I have just my general and 9 guys hanging out there. I do manage to kill his Hierophant in my combat phase, and then I roll the 5 up to end the game. So this is the last picture, and it shows you just how ridiculous the game has gotten, where my super badass unit has been defeated by some skeletons, and my Wolf Riders have done the impossible and circled the board to kill a Hierophant, and my Night Goblins have done pretty much nothing but kill the Sphinx, so I'm not very happy with them. So it ended up being a win to me. We were thinking about doing the 20 nil system, and I really think that in the 20 nil system, because all I got was his chariots, I got his casters, and that was the carrion, and he got most everything. He got, all my he got both my wizards, my BSP, that unit, got both chariots, got both unit of wolf riders. No, I guess he only got one unit of wolf riders, um, but he got the one single troll, that kind of stuff. We decided that it was probably going to be a win to him if we had done the 20-0 system, or maybe a small win to me because of the victory points in the watchtower. But regardless, um, it was a win to me, and I was excited about that. Just some closing thoughts here. Uh, Tomb Kings have a lot of ways to generate extra dice, and so when you give them a really good lore like Death, especially versus Orcs and Goblins, where Purple Sun makes me pee myself, and my characters are very important, so character sniping is bad. Okay. Tomb Kings plus Death is not something I want to fight all the time. That was a really good combination. Even the level 2s really pushed out, because of all the extra dice and the extra casting value and stuff, they really pushed out very, very good magic phases. On the flip side of that, I thought I did really well with 2 level 2s, and this is just fueling my current trend of I'm not sure that Orcs and Goblins need a level 4. I'm really come off of the Savage Orc Shaman with the Shrunken Head, because I don't, while I know that it is worth it for the extra pip of ward save, I don't roll the 5s enough. I mean, I have had several games where the Shrunken Head has saved me 2 orcs over the course of the game, and that's just not, you know, on top of the fact that I don't think that a level 4 is necessary. So now you're talking about me adding 250 points in my list that I don't even really think is necessary. So I took it out for some other stuff like Wyverns and Arachnoroks that some people don't like as much, but I think are cool and very orky. I learned again, if you've ever watched some of the Bromance Wargaming videos, I had a game with a fellow Bromancer, Jody, who where I turned Squigs around trying to get an advantage, and it turned out to be a bad play. And I didn't learn my lesson, and again I turned Squigs around without checking that anybody could see them, and it turned out again to be a bad play. Um, so I'm just going to have to remember my mantra: don't turn Squigs around. Ever, never, ever, never, ever, never. Just, So also, I've been thinking, I'm not sure about bunkers. I had the one bunker that had so many people in it that when it ran off the board, it didn't lose me the game because none of those characters were over 150 points, but it was my BSB and all of my magic. And so maybe I need more bunkers. Maybe I need bunkers with fanatic. Maybe I need a bunker with fanatics to try and deter some of the people charging them. I really don't know how that's going to work, but it's something I'm looking at. It's something I'm trying to put into practice and see what I can do with it. And then finally, of course, never forget my Wolf Riders. We rolled it out, and the Wolf Riders would have done 2 wounds to the Hierophant on my turn 4. But what that means, but his his unit wouldn't have damaged me. And so what that means is that on his turn 5, I probably would have killed the Hierophant before, which wouldn't have saved any of the Savage Orcs, but it would have killed the Hierophant a turn sooner. And that's really important for me. I just didn't want to, I don't want to deal with the Hierophant. I want him to start crumbling. If I can crumble him in his turn, yeah. Anyway, I was really frustrated that that happened, that I forgot. And again, it didn't make a huge difference, but it's something that could have made a huge difference, especially if the game had gone just a little bit differently in other ways. So never forget. Those are my thoughts. This has been a battle report by Jekar. I hope you enjoy it. If you do, subscribe. And if you want to say something good, bad, ugly, encouraging, put it in the comment section below.